My name is Ginny, also known as 2/3 Lotus, everywhere on the internet. This clip is part of my series, The Poets of Twitch, where I analyze my viewers' writing live on stream. Nothing has been edited out, so you're seeing this exactly as streamed with all of the imperfections and tangents that come with being live. If you want to catch me live or want more information, check out the description. Otherwise, enjoy some excellent writing. I don't like this poem, but make me like it. I can't make you like anything, HighCalliBrr, but I can give you my thoughts. Here is an untitled work by HighCalliBrr. I wish that should the tears that drive from faces I know well forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell, should songs forget their ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene, I wish to etch onto my solid soul to carry into a place that might again make me feel whole, and let know the earth and sea, I loved them, and they loved me. By HighCalliBrr. I wish that should the tears that dry from faces I know well forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell, should songs forget their ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene, I wish to etch onto my solid soul to carry into a place that might again make me feel whole, and let know the earth and sea, I loved them and they loved me. One sentence. Many, many clauses in this one sentence. I wish that should the tears that dry from faces I know well forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell, should songs forget their ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene, I wish to etch onto my soul to carry into a place that might again make me feel whole, and let know the earth and sea, I loved them, and they loved me. This makes me think of like breaking up while at the beach. I don't know why. Probably the sea, and I loved them. But also salt. There's some like oceanic vibes and crying. So, there are a lot of things that reference other things within the grammatical structure. So, I think we need to break down the grammar. And it's there, like the grammar exists. It's just difficult. Many layers. I wish that should the tears that dry from faces I know well forget the salt that seeps. So I wish that should the tears, I wish that if/when, that being should, the tears that dry from faces I know well. So this is one subject in the sentence, or object. The tears that dry from faces I know well forget. So basically, if the tears forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell. This is like another single object. Should songs forget, so should, if, similarly, subject or object forgets their ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene. That is like one object. So if the tears forget the salt, if the songs forget the ring, if all this, I wish. What do I wish? I wish that if all that happens, I wish to etch onto my solid soul, to carry into a place, to etch onto my soul, to carry into a place that might again make me feel whole and let me know the earth and the sea. I loved them and they loved me. So this last line. I wish to etch onto my solid soul something. It's looking at how the grammar is functioning. We haven't said what we're etching, because the purpose of the etching is to carry into a place that might again make me feel whole and let the earth and sea know. These are both functions of the thing we're etching. And let know the earth and sea. I loved them and they loved me. Now, this colon is after and let know the earth and sea I loved them and they loved me. So this would say that one function of the etching is, again, to sort of inform the earth and sea of your love. Which means with that interpretation, we don't necessarily resolve what is being etched. Now, it could also be that this is what is being etched onto my soul. I etch onto my soul that I loved them to carry into a place that might again make me feel whole. Let the earth and the sea know, or let know the earth and the sea. Which is then saying that sort of an understanding of this love, an etching, a carrying of it, will make me feel whole and help that which I love know and understand as well. The grammar is unclear in the second half, but that's okay, because unclear grammar is fun. But those are sort of the two meanings of the wish. To etch something unknown as to show love and bring me wholeness. So we could also etch something unknown and unstated, which then maybe gives an interpretation of there is not something that will make me feel whole, or I do not know what will make me feel whole. Or I will etch this sentiment of love that will accomplish these things. Regardless, there is loss. And we can jump back to the first half now. I wish that should the tears that dry from faces I know well forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell. If the tears forget the salt. That's the first part. We've done this exact one before on stream. What does salt represent as a symbol? Word association. What do we associate with salt? Not even necessarily in this poem. Salt. What does this make you think of? Purity, sadness, rituals. Okay. Purity. Sadness. Ritual. What else? Callie, you feel free. I know it's your poem, but you are allowed to contribute analysis. Ocean. That indeed. You said it earlier. Ocean. Purity, sadness, ritual, ocean. Salary. / money. If we're talking etymologically. Pickling. Yeah, preservation. Sore loser. Yeah. Salty. Cooking. Flavor. Anything else? Any other words we can associate with salt? Purity. Sadness. Rituals. Ocean. Salary. Preservation. Being salty. As in being a sore loser. Flavor. I'm gonna go pain. Salt to a wound. That's an expression we use. We have the money one, worth its weight in salt or gold. Anything else? That's a pretty good description of salt as we use it. Maybe for ritual, salt also has a feeling of protection on that. Is there a salt type Pokemon? No, there is not, unfortunately. So we cannot use our Pokemon types symbolic analysis here. But let me ask you this, Drowning Dog. If you were to make a salt type Pokemon, what would the qualities of a salt type Pokemon be? As a broad category, what sort of features would a salt type Pokemon share with other salt type Pokemon? I'm asking you and anyone in chat. Make me a salt type Pokemon. Make me salt type. What would this look like? I'm serious. Salt type. Okay, related to death. So they get stronger with death. Sure. That's a cool idea. This would work for salt. It preserves. There's also tears. That's something of sorrow. What might they look like? I guess it would have angles of a rock type, weak against water. Probably would have a crying motif. So you like crying for them. They do have some rock type energy. And perhaps that's in some of these like preservation, protection vibes. Like it is a rock in a way. A crying blob with salt crystals sticking out. So you just have this like blob. And it's got like salt crystals. They could 100% learn self-destruct. Okay. Yeah, because salt is literally just an edible rock. Yeah, it is. An edible rock. So yeah, associated with death, sadness, crying, durability, protection, self-destruct, high defense, low special defense. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. High defense, low special defense. Why low special defense? Explain what that means, Stylish Fail, for those who are less Pokemon inclined. Why does salt have low special defense? High defense is understandable. It's a rock. Rock types have high defense. They seem like they are trying to brace. How so? What do you mean brace? I don't know that much about Pokemon, honestly. I've only played one game and couldn't finish it. Not without trying. I literally got to the end could not defeat the final battle. They can't deal with surprises. That's okay. So it's sort of stagnant. There's inflexibility. Salt is brittle. Inflexible. That's something we didn't say up there. Brittle. And this maybe can help us understand, like, the term salty, right? It's easily driven to outburst. My brain is working at a level. After playing piano for 11 hours straight, that's insane, HighCalliBrr. Just think about salt-type Pokemon with us. So, but this actually, like, gives us a picture. If we create the salt-type Pokemon, to help us understand what salt sort of is as a symbol. Because a Pokemon is just a symbol reflected onto a little critter. You're an OG Game Boy and Pokemon Red girly. That is awesome. So now we have to return to tears for getting the salt. So we know tears have some amount of, these are sorrow, these are crying, these are salty. And if the tears are forgetting the salt, they're forgetting something about the salt. Some quality of it. What am I trying to ask? Like, if the tears are forgetting the salt, what quality of salt are they forgetting? Are they remaining as tears, but forgetting a sense of purity, or pain, or protection, or the ocean, or money? Because this is helpful, but this is still very broad. And we want to relate, what of these qualities are related to tears and sorrow? I guess is the question. Because these are the things that tears could forget. They forget the pain that caused the tears. That is an excellent possibility. The pain. Maybe they forget the pain that caused the tears. So we have wish. So I wish that should the tears that dry from faces I know well forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell. So we can have these tears, but the hope is that we forget the pain. Maybe some amount of moving on. That's kind of what that feels like. Forgetting that pain, moving forward, the pain is gone from the tears. Have I read Baudrillard's Simulacra and Simulation? No, but I deeply want to, and I think I asked for that for Christmas from my mom. Which is, like, pretty awesome thing to ask for a holiday. I deeply want to read Baudrillard. I would love it. Yeah, I love lots of books, in fact. Okay. So they forget the pain. Now, how about something different? What about another one? Let me, preservation. What if the tears forget the salt, and in that it means they forget the preservation? Or perhaps the holding on to the past, but also the dead. We talked about with the Pokemon that they are connected with death. They get stronger with death, the salt type Pokemon. And perhaps I wish that the tears that dry from faces I know well, notably not our faces, forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell. So maybe we hope that the faces I know well in some way forget a death or a like holding onto of the past. Salt has a feeling of temporality because it preserves things. And this does say faces I know well. So we're not actually talking, at least immediately, about the subject wanting to forget. Maybe they already have. Maybe they haven't, but just acknowledge it. Uncertain, unclear, unknown. My way of talking about symbols and meaning reminded me. Cool. I'll take that as a compliment. I assumed we were talking about a loved one for that line. The faces you know well, like another person who the subject loves. This could certainly be that. A face we know well fundamentally has to be one we spend time around. Loved one could be, in a way, the same lost love. That's certainly possible, or it could be a loved one who is separate, but loved them. There's some feeling in this poem that love has been lost. A love has been lost. And maybe that is the same person, or it's a different one. It was meant as a compliment. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's actually like a very, like, I haven't read Baudrillard, so I can't know how much of a compliment it is, but to know that like this renowned analytic philosopher is being compared with me, like that's pretty legit. But we forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every belle girl. So this is referring to then multiple people in pain. So probably, yeah, a broader feeling of loss. Should songs forget their ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene? Songs forget their ring. Some sort of sound that provided the emotion of calming you out of daydreams of battles turned serene. So this is like one thing. Daydreams of battles turned serene. A battle turned serene is a battle coming to an end. Maybe with a victor, maybe with none, but it's that silence on an empty battlefield. Death around one, probably. But there is a silence, especially in the absence of conflict. Absence of conflict. Songs forget their ring that calmed me out of daydreams. So we have two different things. Should the songs forget their ring, this means they will no longer be able to provide. They will not be able to provide calm in the face of conflict. So, I wish, under the conditions that should, I wish that if the loved ones forget their pain and if the songs no longer calm me, which are two very different things. One is personal, one is external. Tears that dry from faces I know well, forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell. Should songs forget their ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene? Let's start with this second one. If I cannot find solace from conflict, right? If the songs cannot calm me from battle, I wish to etch onto my solid soul, to create some reality. To remember, if something is etched into our soul, if something is etched into our heart in the same way, these are things we do not want to forget. This has the same sort of feeling of the salt and the preservation. Wants to make permanent something. To carry into a place that might again make me feel whole. So this is starting to become clear. If I cannot find solace in music, maybe in others. Okay, yeah. Then I need to create something inside. I need to do something inside of my very soul to bring me peace. And let know the earth and sea, I loved them, and they loved me. Which leaves a very glaring question in our analysis. Who is they? Deeply, deeply important to this poem. These lines at the beginning are all a setup, all a focusing of thought down into one distinctly important quatrain, which perhaps makes the structure really nice. We have a whole smattering of thought at the top of the page, and then it focuses down, and really what we're trying to say is this thing at the end. But we don't quite know who they is yet. Maybe some of your ideas. And we will consult and try to find the answer to this after I take a little break and go to the bathroom. So please do drink some water, go to the bathroom, do self-care, and I will be right back to keep looking at this poem. Ad. Don't watch it. Hello, and welcome back. My name is still Ginny, still the poet of Twitch. Giant Devil, your neighbor gave you a bunch of food. This is awesome. I don't know if you like this neighbor, but they've given you food twice, so maybe you should be friends with them. Snacks and cookies, that's awesome. You should give them a poem in return. Not in a romantic way, just in here's what I have to offer. We left off with a question. A question of who is they? Who did the subject love? You're distracted and foggy, HighCalliBrr. It's okay. And anyone can take a stab at this question and we can explore it other than HighCalliBrr. Who do we think the subject loves? I'm friends with them. Honestly, I think they're just using me to clean out their pantry. You know, whatever works. That's community. That's sharing. That's supporting each other. That's fine. You want what they don't want? It works just fine. Who do we think they is? Who was they before they are no longer here? I loved them. What kinds of people do we love? And what kind of person do we think is being spoken about in this poem? The best way to preserve food is the other person's stomach. So you think this was a previous partner, like a romantic partner, Drowning Devil. Them. Romantic partner. Why? You think this is an X? Okay. So we have 2 votes for X. Not that voting is what's gonna create an interpretation. Analysis is not a democratic process, unfortunately. Imagine that. We all vote on what we think the interpretation of something is, and then that is the correct and only interpretation of an artistic work. Why do we think it's an X? This is where real analysis happens. I think it's something. Give me evidence though. Yeah, now it gets hard. And I'm gonna probably do my best to poke holes in your X hypothesis. I do like it in certain ways. Ooh, maybe I do like it more now that I think about it. Daydreams I relate to romantic love, not familiar love. Okay, so daydreams of battles turned serene. So daydreams. Now we have the daydreams of battles turned serene. So why is a battle turned serene a daydream that would relate to romantic love as opposed to just a daydream? I can understand daydreaming about a person. In the part where they're talking about someone being watched on the soul. Etched on the soul. Interesting. This idea of crossing one's heart, devoting one's soul, these kinds of... Maybe it's my own thoughts, but I don't think of family members as etched on the soul. I see it. It's a sort of separate thing. And Belle, you say, is romantic stylish veil. I agree with those. These give hints of romance. And so Drowning Devil, I presume... It's sort of the implication that this person was etched onto the soul of the subject. Now they are gone, and we must etch something new in its place. Belle definitely can imply some it's got a romantic vibe. And then the only thing I'm not certain about is why daydreams. I understand that daydreams as a concept are a romantic thing, but the broader context. Should songs forget their ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene? The daydreams of battles turned serene are a single item. Oh, I was thinking they were etched, now they're gone, and you can feel their absence. Yeah, exactly. And it's the absence that I guess makes one want to feel whole again and etch something new or find something else to make one whole. So yes. They can feel the absence. I don't love my family because they are beautiful. What is that referring to? I mean, I think Belle, yes. Oh, this hit me. I miss her. It's funny. I'm still not convinced by the daydream thing, but I do think Belle, I do think the etching onto the soul. Yeah, regarding the Belle, okay. These things do. So, let's say we take it as that. Yeah, it is referring to beauty. Yeah. So, I wish that should the tears that dry from faces I know well. So now, let's say, the person I loved romantically, forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell. So now it's saying that should this person I loved forget about me and move on, should songs forget their ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene. And I do think this actually relates to the lover if we think about the songs. Something that happens often in romance is the sharing of songs. This makes me think about you. This gives us connection. Should songs forget their ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene? So, the bad thoughts, the thoughts of battle, the suffering, is what one experiences without the songs shared by this lover that can bring serenity and connection. So I wish to etch onto my solid soul, to carry into a place that might again make me feel whole, and let know the earth and the sea, I loved them and they loved me. This is probably, I like this interpretation deeply. The interpretation I had in my head for a little bit was death of like a family member. But I think the etching of the soul fairly strongly convinces me that this is a lover. I like the interpretation of Drowning Devil. Oui, ce signifie beautiful le mot belle. Could still be death. It could be death. Yes. It could be death of a lover. But I think the lover, I think Faces I Know Well refers then specifically to the lover, and if the lover is dead, then this doesn't quite make sense. Unless it's maybe the loved ones around this sort of pairing of two who are crying. It's all of these people connected to the relationship, and then it ends. The people... Oops. Oh, that's fine. The people cry, and then... But they forget. When the people around me forget this loss, I will still forever maintain some amount of pain. How do I put this back? Why is it popped out? I don't know how to send it back. It's fine. I am a he. Yeah, Callie's a dude. Which makes sense, the other person being a woman, but I think this is then why the bell is referring to the lover and not others, which I think means the lover needs to be alive so they are capable of crying and moving on. I think a poem would manifest itself differently as well in relation to death as opposed to leaving. I'm not sure quite what I mean by that, but that's what I feel. So, I like that interpretation. Callie, you had one question for me in the form, which was my thoughts on the structure here of it getting shorter and shorter each line. And I like it a lot. The first lines are these sprawling, confusing, dense lines. I wish that should the tears that dry from the faces I know well forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell, should songs forget their inner ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene. I wish to etch onto my solid soul, to carry into a place that might again make me feel whole, and let know the earth and sea. I loved them, and they loved me. It starts almost frantic. And long lines can do this. Long lines, we like to read through them in one motion. Short lines, we like to stop after each line. And I slowed down as I went on with the poem. And this also mirrors the use of talking about becoming calmed and ephemeral things like daydreams and souls, and then the feeling of wholeness. And yesterday we read some from Mary Oliver. She was talking about sound and the way certain sounds give feeling. And, the operative words here are tears and forget and salt. And these are harsh words. And then we go to bell, calm, wish, softer words, soul, whole. Loved them and they loved me. So it really feels like the whole poem just wants to point toward the end, which is the most important 4 lines in the poem. And that makes the structure really effective in communicating the thing you want to communicate. All of this, yes. All of this stuff about souls and etching and longing and tears and beauty. But really, the important part is I loved them and they loved me. And that's past tense. Our punctuation mark, period. It's over. Finality. The only other thing we have are 2 colons. Maybe a comma somewhere that I covered up. We have 2 colons. And these are stops. They slow us down, and in fact they're both in the second half of the poem. But the true finality is just the end. So the poem really leads us toward that. And that's effective. HighCalliBrr, or anyone else. Questions? Comments? Anyone hate it? Questions can help me critique. But I know HighCalliBrr, like me, you're not much of an editor. Is that something clapping? I love the structure of the shorter and shorter lines. So you like it as well, Stylish Fail. Why do you like it? I mean, I gave my piece, and if you like it for the same reason, that's cool. What does the earth and the sea part mean? Sure. And let know the earth and the sea. I think this is to say, probably to me, everything. This person here's an expression for you that we use. Meant the world. To the subject of the poem. Subject in the poem. And to that end, there is a desire for the world, everything, to understand. It is of so much importance to the person losing them that everyone should know the sort of severity of this love. That's what I think. It also gives a nice contrast to, like, the soul and the daydreams. This all is up in the space of thought. But when it comes down to actual reality, it is just love that is lost. So this sort of grounds us before our final line. I think that works very well. You have a lot of different metaphors. I think it would be stronger if you focused on one or two. I love metaphor. I actually have trouble not using them. Working on that. I mean, what metaphors do we have? So there's the tears. I mean, so the earth and the sea are probably a metaphor. You have a bunch of symbol. Okay, daydreams of battles turned serene is a metaphor. The salt is a metaphor, probably. Even the songs. The songs could just be speech of the lover. But I don't know. I also find it very characteristic of Callie's poems to be steeped in mixed metaphor. And to some degree, I like it. But this is because I do it too, probably. It gives a feeling of unfocused, just I have so much in my head and I can't connect it, and there is so much pain. It's a real feeling. It feels genuine, and then the poem manages to distill it into something more simple. So this I enjoy. I'm not sure if we talked about one metaphor going through, if the singular feeling of I loved them and they loved me would be quite so effective. But this is my thought. And I'm the only one who gets to speak with words. And that doesn't mean I'm an authority over your idea, stylish fail. I just mean to disagree, because we do that a lot here. The metaphors are all good, but I prefer poems where the writer digs into their ideas. Flower Heart, hi, I'm reading Wuthering Heights. Yeah, we heard last time. Best way I can describe the vibe of the book. Saying wolf in sheep clothes, if I set it off. Gotcha. Yeah, I was asking about it the other time. Wait, that came out wrong. Like, focus on one or two ideas. Okay, yeah. I have some that do that. I want to try, but it's really difficult when I don't have much to say. I need to experience life. It's probably a matter of taste. I'm not saying it's wrong. This is such a good poem. OMG, I love the book Flower Heart. Probably my favorite. Someone was talking about that yesterday. Was it the high person from Brazil who was talking about Flower Heart? I feel like I need to read this stuff. Like, everyone in my chat is either talking about Wuthering Heights or Flower Heart. I don't know. I don't know them. Any other questions on the poem, HighCalliBrr? Anything that you like... Okay, so I guess you said, I want to try, but it's really difficult when I don't have much to say. I need to experience life. So I would love it if you could expand on that thought. Because I think one can write a very lot of things with a very little of experience. And I'm also not sure how those things are connected, actually. The use of metaphor and one's life experience. I don't remember what he was talking about, but he was having a really good time, I think. Yeah. The high person yesterday on stream. Hey, that is the reason we have Pokemon as literary analysis. So, big fan of Dreamy. The Carl May approach. Who is Carl May? I guess you could say if you experienced more things, you would have more ideas to want to relate to. Yeah, but I'm not sure if how more ideas would give one more capacity to have specific metaphors. I need to go out, get drunk, get sober, party, be lazy, live, laugh, love, hate, fight, win, lose. Everything I'll be able to write about reality. I hate to say it, but you're sounding kind of like this guy. This guy. Callie, how old are you? Carl May wrote in the early 1900s. He wrote westerns. He lived in Germany. Never went to America. You're 30? I'm 20. I've done less than you in my life. You've got plenty. You just need to think about it. So I made it up based on paintings and stories. I grew up on those stories. That's really interesting. Yeah. No, literally, just be like that. Use the Carl May approach. You don't need to know something to write about it. We are, like, that's one of the liberating things of writing. Is that I can have a vague understanding of something and write a poem talking about it. And it can be great. You know, we write fantasy books. No one has experienced magic and dragons. And yet we have fantasy books. And so I wouldn't allow a lack of experience. Write about the lack of experience. Write about the desire to, as you say specifically, go out, get drunk, get sober, party, be lazy, live, laugh, love. Write about the condition of not doing those things. If you're not doing something, it means you have exactly something to write about. Not doing things, or a life if you wrote those things, or if you did those things, or the life you could live. Like, be speculative. We don't need to write from experience. And I mean, you have your poem Straw Man. No, I dropped my phone. I call it Straw Man because that's the main idea, but I dropped my phone. I mean, sure, it goes back to an event, you dropping your phone, but, like, this complex metaphor brings us into, like, a strangely magical world, and you do not have straw people chasing you and stopping traffic. I mean, you sort of do, based on the interpretation of the poem, but whatever. They're behind you right now. They're behind you right now, HighCalliBrr. The straw people are in your walls. Probably not a good thing for me to tell you. Honestly, I think all you need to do is to be a poet is to be alive, even if you spend your days in a room doing nothing. I mean, I literally wrote a poem about being alone in a gray room. Exactly. I wholeheartedly support having a misspent youth at whatever age. I mean, definitely yet. OMG, schizophrenia. I know, I'm playing into your paranoid tendencies, probably, but write about that. Write about the demons. You have things to write about, HighCalliBrr. Like, saying I need to do stuff is like a completely nonsensical excuse that's stopping you from writing, and I will not tolerate that. That's not being a good boy. I wrote great stuff, stuck in rehab, shrug, when I had less than nothing to do. Dude, when I was in the psych ward, that was the least symphonic place ever, if we're using Bukowski's terms. I am very, I find it difficult to create symphonic things in unsymphonic spaces. This is why I put flags and posters and scrawled words on my walls and go into nature and cities and try to see things. Like, I agree that a symphonic life is easier to write about, but also there's a lot that happens in the unsymphonic spaces, and I probably could write about them. I wonder what I will write the next time I go into a psych word. I always end up trying to write something or come with a story to pass the time. Turning Devil. I'm laughing because I don't think we should frame it as the next time you go to the psych word. It feels very fatalist. And I know that you're sort of like that's the thing, you, and then you change your meds. Like I've heard the cycle from you. But like, what will I write next time I'm in the psych ward? It just seems a little fatalist to me. Has anyone else ever written 40 poems in 2 weeks? My nurses were impressed. I write 20 poems a week. No psych ward involved. What? I've gone like every 2 years. I don't think that's going to change for a while. Yeah, and I think that's sort of it's like consigning yourself to a fate that is not set in stone. I'm someone who tries not to see the future as immutable, you know? Which in a way is a fatalism. Like, it will happen. It is doomed to be. Fatal. Fate. Fate. Relating to fate. I want to play more piano. Brain no. I don't see psych wards in a bad light. It just helps me get somewhere. I don't see it as a doomed thing. Oh, yeah, I mean, that's understandable. But not even as like a doomed, but as like a, not doomed in like doomed to die, but like doomed to happen, fated to be. Fatalism. I dislike these statements, just kind of fundamentally. Don't make me go back. But HighCalliBrr, the straw people are in your walls. I should stop. It's kind of messed up. I'm going to read this poem again. Do we have Oh, Drowning Devil, the pattern exists for a reason. That reason is to be broken by you. He's asking how my phone is. Fair enough. Any other questions or comments on this poem? It's broken like my heart. I'm sorry, HighCalliBrr. I hope you can find a way to reconcile with that internally. No more questions, no more thoughts. Here's the poem again. By the wonderful, endlessly creative and illustrious HighCalliBrr. Should start adding like epithets like that to everyone's names. I wish that should the tears that dry from faces I know well forget the salt that seeps into the pores of every bell, should songs forget their ring that calmed me out of daydreams of battles turned serene, I wish to etch onto my solid soul, to carry into a place that might again make me feel whole, and let me know the earth and sea, or let know the earth and sea. I loved them, and they loved me. Thank you, HighCalliBrr. Beautiful work. Lovely poem. Big fan, always. Thank you for watching. I encourage you to check out the rest of the series, follow if you enjoyed, and stop by Twitch if you want to share your own work. See you there.